There is no doubt about it that a lot of fans around the world have rejected Kathleen Kennedy. I would say more so when The Last Jedi released back in 2017 of December. You know, it didn't really seem like that Kennedy was as much of a rejected figure within the Star Wars community when The Force Awakens was released, or even Rogue One at that point in time. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, that's the thing about Kathleen Kennedy, you know, one could argue, you know, about Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Let's not forget that she was also the one to initiate massive reshoots on that movie and deleting so many Darth Vader scenes out of the actual film. We could have seen so much more Darth Vader action than what we got in the actual movie, and it's almost like a similar scenario to what happened with The Rise of Skywalker, of how we were actually supposed to have far more scenes with Palpatine, and yes, even Luke Skywalker and others. Now, when we look at, of course, Kathleen Kennedy as the president of Lucasfilm, obviously, you know, we have seen a common trend that Disney Star Wars wasn't quite as authentic as the old Star Wars. We're talking about the prequels and the originals, everything done by George Lucas, Lawrence Kasdan, and more. That's the thing, is that Disney has their own tone of Star Wars. They had their own direction, or path, if you will, of how they pursued the Star Wars franchise, right? And how they really wanted to market it, and how they really wanted to get it out to the fans. And that was the one major difference of how Disney handled Star Wars apart from their other franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean, or even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and other franchises out there, right? Star Wars, it really seems like that they had a dedicated plan for it all that really did not agree with the fans for the most part. Now, with that being said, of course, what's really intriguing is that with Disney Lucasfilm actively developing the new Star Wars universe for the Star Wars fandom, they are also focused on reuniting the fans that were divided over both The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. Now, Bob Iger and Chapek are hard at work on making things right for the Star Wars fans. However, during a recent interview in early 2020, sometime after The Rise of Skywalker released, many of the creators of the sequel trilogy were interviewed about how they handled everything Star Wars. Eventually, even Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy, when she was questioned about how Bob Iger brought up the story of how George Lucas was betrayed, Kennedy went on to state that she never intended anything bad for George Lucas, and that if she did, she is sorry and regrets certain directions that she pursued. She went on to say that they needed to play things safe with The Force Awakens, and that at many times, she felt regret of the decision that they were actually forced to do in order to protect themselves as a company, to protect the Star Wars brand after the backlash from the prequel trilogy era. So in case you guys did not know, The Force Awakens at that point in time in 2015, that marked 10 years since the last Star Wars film back in 2005's Revenge of the Sith. And the prequels got a lot of bad reviews. You know, The Phantom Menace didn't really get that great feedback. Attack of the Clones most certainly did not get great feedback. Revenge of the Sith was a very fair movie, an above-average Star Wars film as far as I see it. It's by far one of my favorites. It's in my top 3 list. That's just how I am. My top 3, by the way, is Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, and Revenge. Now, when we look at Revenge of the Sith, obviously, 2005 at the time, it was a very exciting time because the marketing was all about Darth Vader. I'm sure that you guys very well recall 7-Elevens really kind of marketing Darth Vader everywhere on cups, banners, food, everything. It was just a big deal. And that was the main reason as to why everyone was fully invested in that movie, was to actually see the rise of Darth Vader and the fall of Anakin Skywalker. Now, of course, Kennedy also went on to reveal that, of course, that her and Bob Iger felt on the fence of even using some of George's concepts for The Last Jedi and ignored them anyway, and that her and Iger were apologetic over these decisions from Lucas. With Chapek now the new CEO, Lucas is fully invested with the direction of the new Star Wars universe, and that Kennedy actually wanted to make it clear to the fans that by disregarding the concepts and ideas from Lucas that she rejected for the film, that it was nothing personal and just a part of the process of developing a brand new Star Wars film that would in fact continue the Skywalker saga for the fans to engage with. So like I say, I mean, we do know that now Kennedy no longer has creative control, at least for the most part, which is good news, except for that Leslie Headland Star Wars TV show, which, by the way, I think is going to be a disaster. That's just how I see it, and I'm sure that's how a lot of you out there see it. Granted that we do not have footage, I understand that maybe I'm really just kind of jumping the shark here on Leslie Headland's TV show, but I really do believe that it's the possibility of becoming The Last Jedi 2.0. It could very well be the TV version of Star Wars failure, if you will. So with that being said, guys, you know, like I've said before in the past, Kathleen Kennedy, thankfully, is only invested with that TV show, and Leslie Headland so far is only going to be dedicated to one season for this TV series. So far, it seems like a limited TV series, with the possibility of having a season 2, a season 3, whatever it may be, right? Hopefully it won't go beyond that, but that's just my take on things. So with that being said, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.